despite their success together, was a crew chief change warranted for the number 11 team?
I don't think it was. These two have worked really well together, as you mentioned. You just documented their successes. And he did have a great start to the year this year. Just slowly kind of faded away pretty much. He was always there or thereabouts, had some bad luck and was caught up in crashes and whatever else towards the middle to end of the season. But I don't think this was quite on the cards. I don't think anyone expected this to happen. There's more to the Denny story, which we'll get to in sort of the second part of this segment. But yeah, interesting one. Chris Gale coming across from Ty Gibbs. I think generally everybody thought that he might get a win this year and hasn't done. So that's another story to see what happens with him getting whoever he gets next as his next crew chief for next season with Gale moving over. So yeah, interesting times at the 11 camp. They were, to use their own hashtag, all in this year on winning the championship. If you listen to Denny's podcast, he's been banging on about that all season, and it just hasn't happened for him for various reasons, as I've said. So, going to be interesting to see what kind of happens with the 11 team next year, as you're going to tell us next, Josh, because it's all been happening over the last couple of weeks with that team.
It really has, actually. And before the NASCAR Awards banquet last Friday night in Charlotte, Hamlin spoke to the media and said that he was shocked when JGR told him that Gabehart wouldn't be his crew chief as well. He revealed that the team broke the news to him a few days after Phoenix during a team meeting at 6 p.m. Now, while it was certainly a surprise to see Hamlin and Gabehart split up, Hamlin also acknowledged that the team did what they felt was best to improve their entire Cup Series program, including the number 11 team. Now, in a way, the split seems similar to the time when JGR separated another successful duo, Kyle Busch and crew chief Adam Stevens. Now, they were split up after the 2020 season. Busch only lasted at JGR for 2 more seasons after Stevens was moved over to Christopher Bell's number 20 team as well. So Denny Hamlin is now 44 years old. His longtime sponsor FedEx is gone, and he was caught off guard by this major change on his number 11 team. Does it feel like this has his time with Joe Gibbs Racing? Is it limited?
Perhaps. Big sponsor FedEx stepping away at the end of this season. That was announced just before the race started at Phoenix a couple of weeks back. Now he's lost a crew chief. You mentioned that Adam Stevens and Kyle Busch separation after their great run of success they had. It didn't really happen for Kyle afterwards. Now, of course, has moved teams, and it's not really happened either for him at RCR. This is like, and to use a bit more of a stick and ball sports analogy, this is like a quarterback head coach duo that have gone on. This is what would happen if Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes suddenly got split up at Kansas City, or Brady and Belichick back in the day. If one person goes, something just doesn't feel quite right, falls apart, then the other person leaves. The dynasty is separated, and it kind of feels a little bit that way again here with Denny and with Chris Gabehart. There's a lot of stuff going on in Denny's world off the track, as we've kind of skirted around the edge of on this show for the last couple of months with the whole court case with 2311 and Front Row. He's 44. He's not got many years left in him to try and finally get this championship. And maybe if he ever does get one, he'll do a Nico Rosberg and go, "Thank you, I'm done, I'm off, I'm finished." I don't know. 2311 going to a third car is going to, that's more resources he's going to have to use for his time over there, which we talked about over the last couple of weeks too. So I don't know. I'm not sure who knows how many years Denny's got left on his contract, but this might be his last one. And that'll be, we've seen over the last however many years, haven't we? Gordon, Johnson, Stewart, Harvick, all stepping away. Next on the chopping block, potentially for whatever reason, Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin.
I wish you'd said Dallas in some way other than Dynasty, because then I could have used Two Shot JGR as well. So
very good.
Yeah, thank you.
But they've had so many changes of quarterback at the Cowboys over the last few years, it's hard to keep track. Matthew Owen says, things are quite shaky at JGR. Good evening, Matthew. The organisation didn't win post New Hampshire this year. That was Christopher Bell. That was the wet race, of course, where he dominated in the wet and the dry. Didn't get a car in the championship for, and lost a champion in Martin Truex Jr., of course, with his retirement. Now they've lost an elite level crew chief. And we've talked about crew chiefs a lot on the show over the last couple of weeks with Paul Wolf and everything that's happened there and whatnot. So 18 races without a win for the whole organisation is pretty shocking for Joe Gibbs. And when you look at it like that, perhaps back to my, I'm not sure they need to change. Maybe they need to change, because now Hamlin and that 11 crew kind of, since Kyle Busch and the 18 has moved away, the 11 has been the focal point for that team. Of course, Christopher Bell's had a really good couple of years, but the 11 is the marquee car at JGR. And it's not, if it's not happening for them, then it's not really happening for any of the other cars below it.
Cars going to look very, very different when it rolls off, of course, at the, what was it? We're at Bowman Grey, aren't we? For the opener? Yeah,
on my birthday, so that's definitely February.
It is, yeah. That's going to look very weird. Are you in the box for that then? Do you know? Are you taking that off? Thank God for that. I was going to say.
It's stupid o'clock at night. No, thank you.
Just us fools then who have to be in the box.
Yes, well, that race will go on for about 8 or 9 hours for a 50-lap race. There'll be many crashes and many cautions. But more on that next year.
Yeah. Let's all just calculate. We've just come off a 10-week streak where we've been up all hours. So that's great. And I've done recovery in that time. Fully healed, by the way, now. I've yet, though, to eat a burger. So, come on, somebody. Buy the coffee, buy a burger.